You're not the only one.
Welcome back, my friends, for another episode of MES podcast. We are hot off the 7-1 domination, Barcelona over Valencia. And earlier in the week, we got the 5-4 thriller, the win over Benfica. We'll be talking about those two matches, plus Araujo has signed a new contract. But is it the good news that it initially seems like, or maybe is there something in there that we need to be discussing? Spoiler, there's some stuff in there we need to be discussing. And then, of course, we will get to some Marcus Rashford transfer rumors, all that and more on today's episode. You got your Uncle John here, as well as Papa Pablo, and we are joined by a brand new guest. We've got Mo from Barça News. Mo, why don't you go ahead and say hello to the Masque audience and let folks know where they can find you.
Hello, guys. I'm Mo from Barça News. I have my YouTube channel. I've been doing this for, I think I'm coming up on 3 years. Time flies by, but I'm really happy to be on a podcast. Thank you for the invite, and I'm really excited to, get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to have you. Happy to have everybody listening at home. Again, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to hear from you in the comments while we have this conversation. Let us know your thoughts, your opinions, and more as we continue to grow out this podcast. Like I said, we'd love to hear from you. Pablo, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing pretty well, to be fair, mate. I mean, bit of a mental week at Barça, actually. Last Sunday we were speaking about the 1-1 draw against Getafe, weren't we? And it was all a bit not doom and gloom. It was a very dull game, obviously, and a frustrating game. And then all of a sudden you got that mental one against Benfica on Tuesday night, was it? And then you've got this against Valencia, which was ridiculous. I mean, they're two very different games. They're two interesting, odd games in a way, because there's so many goals. I think the main indicators are that Barca are very, very, very good going forward this season. I think the second highest scoring Barca team in the 21st century is this one under Hansi Flick. Most was Pep's 2011-12 season team. But I think also they're susceptible defensively. So sort of both ends of the pitch, but it does make for a fun watch.
Yeah, fun watch indeed. Let's start with that Benfica match. Mo, at halftime of this match, if you can remember, Barcelona down 3-1. If you can remember that moment, where are you at mentally? What are you thinking? Did you anticipate this comeback at all? Did you see this match playing out the way that it did? What were you thinking?
Not at all. At halftime, I thought it was over. I was like, all right, let's turn off the TV. Thank God I didn't. But the Benfica match was awful. As happy as I was with the result, I think it was an awful play by Barcelona. Total domination by Benfica. They baited us time and time again. Same play over and over again. Goalkeeper to the center back, forced Barcelona push forward. Boom, long pass to the back of our defenders. So I think tactically speaking, Benfica were superior for the first 70 minutes. The last 20 minutes, Flick changed the system 3 times. It worked out perfectly. But what I like about that match, and this is something I said on my channel, I think that for the first time in a very long time, Barcelona showed the mental strength to be a Champions League winner. Because to be a Champions League winner is not just about playing well, having good players. It's also about mental fortitude. Just something we always see from Madrid, right? Time and time again, Madrid playing awful. They're playing worse than their opponent. They're losing, and then somehow they come back. And we always talk about, that winning mentality that Madrid has. And for the first time against Benfica, I saw Barcelona with that winning mentality. Because any other Barca before this one, whether it was Xavi, Koeman, Setien, Valverde, would have fallen apart. Would have fallen apart at the first goal. I mean, what was it? Minute 2, boom, goal. We fall down, pick back up. We tie, right? And then penalty kick and a silly mistake by Szczęsny. You're like, all right, this Barca again would have fallen apart. Nope. We come back, we score a second goal. A no goal by Araujo. Again, any other team would have fallen apart, but then we come back, we score third, fourth, fifth. I mean, I've never seen a Barca with this mentality since the Luis Enrique era under MSN. It was just insane.
Yeah. I honestly almost same reaction. I had mentioned to Pablo before already. I almost didn't tune in for the second half. I felt like we were falling apart. I was seeing finger pointing on the field. I was seeing players getting frustrated with each other. And I'd been through that era of all those other managers that you mentioned where we saw Barcelona actually fall apart and it turns into an 8-2, And so I was a little bit scarred. I was a little bit like, I don't think I want to watch this second half. This is so disappointing. I've got other things that I could be doing. But I thankfully kept it on, at least in the background, long enough to be like, hang on, there's something happening here. And I tuned back in. Pablo, what about you? Did you lose faith during this match? Were you in it the whole time? What was your mental ride for this?
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. I thought we were going to lose the game for sure. Thought at most we'd get a draw. I didn't expect the comeback. I think at 3-1. What I did think is that, we've probably made Benfica look better than they actually are, and that we should be performing better here. I saw enough spaces in the first half, but we didn't exploit them.
Yeah.
When it was 3-1, and then especially after the 4-2, I think, because we got that bizarre goal from Rafinha right off his head, and then Araujo sticks in his own net 3 minutes later, and it's like, I mean, that's that. But for me, that was very much like a moment where any other team sort of like drops. And like Mo just said, that is the really impressive thing. That's the important thing for Barça, that they did stick with it. And to be fair, that last 20 minutes, we did completely pin Benfica in. They barely got out. They had the counter-attack with Di Maria, obviously, that could have won it for them. But other than that, we did pin them in. So credit to Barça for that. We haven't really seen that actually under Hansi Flick in terms of him going like gung-ho. Like, do you know what I mean? He's often kept four defenders on the pitch. He's often kept it 4-3-3, or at least 4-2-4. But like to go like three and like at the back and then lob like Ferran Torres left wing back, Lamine Yamal right wing back, like if you like, all of those players forward. We haven't really seen that yet, and it seemed to work. It put Benfica under a lot of pressure. It was one of those mental games that you don't really look at it and pick things apart and say it was a good performance from Barça. I agree it wasn't a good performance from Barça actually overall. Quite worrying with how susceptible we were to conceding time after time. Again, I think is a worrying thing, but it was one of those great games that you'll always remember. And, the goal from Rafinha after the potential penalty was just one of those like crazy, crazy moments in a football match where you're just like, what is going on? And in the VAR era as well, I mean, it was a weird one to celebrate, but yeah, great scenes at the end. Massive win for the club and obviously in our Champions League like campaign. But yeah, it was probably one of the ones that the managers look after the game and think, what was that, lads?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of things that I think you all are pointing out that we should discuss. I'm a little bit worried that there is now a recognizing of what could be kryptonite with Barcelona, which is the fullbacks attacking on the outside, getting those late overlaps. I mean, Koundé was left stranded out there. I forget whoever Benfica's left back is. I should Carreras.
Yes.
Yeah, we should give him some credit. Hell of a match. Absolutely hell of a match.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by him. But tactically speaking, we were in trouble early on. I do want to make the argument that if not for the mistakes by Szczęsny and kind of we'll say, more of a fluke own goal by Araujo, this isn't as close of a match. But that opening 30 minutes, Barcelona did not look good. It was very worrying. Mo, I'll pitch it to you first. Is that something that Barcelona's opponents are going to be picking up on? Is that now going to be the method going against Barcelona? Attack with your fullbacks and kind of spread out that defense more than what they can handle? What do you think?
I think if opponents would have chosen to do that, they would have done it a long time ago, because I think Flick has always had a clear strategy of how to play, and this is something that a lot of people were bringing up when Barcelona were going through the bad form in the league. We're like, oh, well, people figure out how to play against Flick. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's the team's mistakes that makes that system vulnerable, but not that the system. Every system has a vulnerability, right? And if you're not playing at your best, those vulnerabilities are going to be exploited. And I think that day we were just losing the ball way too much. And I think the weakest link was Araujo, because if you look at Araujo, every time his timing was off. He was always off the offside trap. Every pass he made was awful. And I think Araujo was the big weak link, and that was causing a lot of loss of balls, and those loss of balls then penalize us because we play so high up that when you lose the ball and you don't recover it immediately, it just leaves your back exposed. But that's just the nature of the system. I don't think necessarily that's, that we should change our system because of that. We should just got to be more careful about our build-ups.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do agree on that. I think there's two players I want to pick out actually, and this ties into the Valencia game as well. Araujo, number one. I think people probably thought when Araujo came back that he would work with this high line because he's quick, obviously. He's probably the quickest of the centre-backs we have at the club, you'd have to say. But it doesn't actually really work in that way, because I think you're right, Mo. He does time things badly as well, Araujo. He doesn't read the game as well as the other centre-backs. I think Koulibaly and Inigo do work better. Even tonight, it's a different opponent, of course. Valencia were awful tonight, but even Eric and Koulibaly seem to work better. Certainly at progressing the ball at the back too. Like, I do think Araujo's got a lot of adapting to do to Flick's system. I really do. And him playing the high line, he's got to change some things. And also the goalkeeper. That is a massive.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were going to come onto it later, John. So sorry if I've overjumped the gun on this, but
Get into it.
Szczęsny seems to have been picked as the number one here, right? Which, when he first signed, I thought he might have been. In October, I thought that's why they've signed him. They don't trust Iñaki Pena. Clearly, that wasn't the case. Iñaki Pena stayed, played great in the Clásico, seemed to grow loads of confidence. Szczęsny came in and, he was sort of left to one side, played against Barcelona, but no one thought much of it. Iñaki Peña's then late to the meeting against Athletic Club in the semis. Szczęsny plays fine. He was good. He was okay. Then plays the Supercopa final. You say again, fair enough, continuity for the Super Cup or whatnot. And then you probably thought Iñaki Pena was going to regain his place from there. Szczęsny starting against Benfica, playing the way he did. We saw it again tonight. I don't know, I almost pose the question to you guys, who would you be your number one? Because I do like Szczęsny, but I do think, he's clearly a few paces off it, is what I see from Szczęsny. He's clearly a player who's come up from retirement. I do think in his prime, he was a much better goalkeeper than Iñaki Pena, but you can see he keeps on getting late to the ball for penalties. He's made a lot of errors already.
Keeps getting late.
He's made
so many penalties.
A lot of errors in just a few games there. I mean, quite standout that you'd probably look around and go, is this going to carry on? And the main point I'd make is obviously Iñaki Pena. I know he's not too young anymore. I think he's actually 26 or something. But from a Barca point of view, surely you prioritise your younger, homegrown goalkeeper who will be here probably beyond the next season. Do you know what I mean? Especially if the level was really off and Szczęsny'd come in and was playing a blind. Obviously, you go, we prioritise Szczęsny. We want to win the league and the Champions League. But I actually think Iñaki Pena has been better than Szczęsny. And he has more projection, obviously. It makes more sense for Barca to prioritise his development than Szczęsny. So I think we're at a bit of an interesting spot now with the goalkeepers. We've heard Flick likes Szczęsny's experience, but I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the Szczęsny situation.
Yeah. Mo, jump in there.
A couple of problems I see with Szczęsny is I think he's a much better shot stopper than Iñaki Pena. But coming off his line, he's just terrible because he's just not used to that. He's never played that system in his entire career. So all of a sudden, he's finding himself with this incredibly high line where he has to continuously come off his line, and he doesn't know how to do that. And he's suffering from the same problem as Araujo, timing. His timing is just off. Second problem, I think, his age. And I think the fact that he retired and then he's 36 years old, his reflexes are not as fast as it could be. But I still think he's better shot stopper than Iñaki. Iñaki's much better coming off his line, right? Where Ter Stegen can do both, which is funny because before Ter Stegen's injury, a lot of people were like, Ter Stegen out. And I'm like, hold on a minute. You don't know what you have until you lose it. And that's exactly what's happened. But for me, I think we should go back to Iñaki. And I said this after the match against Benfica, because when Szczęsny was first signed, Flick was constantly asked, is it going to be Iñaki or Szczęsny? He kept saying it's going to be Iñaki because Iñaki hasn't done anything to where he merits being benched. So let's apply the same thing to Szczęsny, because I think Szczęsny has done plenty to be benched. He's given us plenty of reasons to be benched. So this is why I think we should go back to Iñaki. I mean, that's 3 penalties in a row. Obviously, today didn't count, but it's 3 penalties where he just came off late and took down the player. And I was joking with my friends. I'm like, I think the word for German, the word for ball in German is the same as the word for feet in Polish. So Flick told Szczęsny, always go for the ball. And he thought, I always got to go for the feet. Because he always goes for the feet. He's always late.
Yeah.
So I think we should go back to Iñaki for sure.
Yeah, I was also questioning what is the method here. I know historically Barcelona, when they, have their ideal situation, they have their number one keeper for La Liga and Champions League and their backup keeper for Copa del Rey. I know, somebody back me up. There was some suspension, right, with Iñaki Pena. He because he was late for a meeting or something like that.
Yeah, so he was late for the meeting, so he got benched for the Supercopa semi. Yeah.
Yes, and then Szczęsny got a red card,
sent off in the final. Yeah, which meant
so
Pena had to play against Betis.
Exactly, and then that just kind of made everything topsy turvy.
But then he played Pena against Getafe.
Right.
Okay, so here's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sense of it, right? The only thing that I got is Flick recognizing that Szczęsny needs some match time to get up to speed so that he can read the game better, get off the line a little bit quicker, and he's finding these matches for Szczęsny to play before we get into the real meat of the end of the season. Anything is, I mean, maybe, because otherwise I don't know. Because to your points, I don't think Szczęsny is playing better. He is clearly a liability coming off the line. I don't think he's great with the ball at his feet.
No.
So I don't know why he would be playing, if not just to knock the rust off and hope that he'll kind of get his stride before we get into the last leg of the season here.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because maybe I thought maybe he's going to do Szczęsny, Champions League and Copa was the vibe I got when he played him against Benfica, and obviously Pena against Getafe. And then he plays now in the league. And it could be a case of just an odd-off league game, and he thought Valencia at home will be one where we have a lot of the ball, but he doesn't have much to do. Sort of the way it turned out with a 7-1 win, obviously. But it's odd. And I think the worry for me is that I've said before on the podcast that I feel like Iñaki Pena is the confidence player. And I worry for his confidence getting knocked. Like, it has taken Iñaki a while to get to the level he's been at now, where, I mean, last season we were coming on after every game and saying that Iñaki Pena is a bit of a problem, in goal, and that we don't trust him. I'm not really at that point anymore. I actually feel okay with Iñaki Pena in goal this season, and that's almost why it's irritating as well, because it's like it felt like he was in a good moment.
I thought Pena was really hitting his stride. I thought this was the best Pena that we were seeing. So I don't know. I'm admittedly stretching to find the logic for Szczęsny playing right now.
I mean, it could be that he wants to use Iñaki in the league, and that today it was just a simple rotation thing, because we did see Eddie Garcia, we saw Fermin Lopez, Ferran, all these players starting ahead of the starters. So maybe just Flick believes that, Szczęsny gives them that experience, that confidence that Iñaki Pena doesn't. Because even though Iñaki has been better, when he's on goal, you still feel a little bit nervous.
Sure.
Versus Szczęsny gives you that confidence, whether it's his attitude or the way but he has been very reckless. So I don't know. Like you said, it's a weird one for me. I can't decipher it.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good one to get some comments from the listeners there. Let us know what you think the situation there is with Szczęsny and Pena. Barcelona do have 4 matches, including today's match, in the next 10-11 days. We got Atalanta in Champions League, we got Alaves on Sunday, and then we got Valencia again in Copa del Rey. So I think this will be a good transition. Talk about that Valencia match. We talked about Szczęsny's goalkeeping error that got wiped off, thankfully, because of the earlier foul. But beyond that, 7-1. Barcelona putting a hurting on Valencia for this match. Pablo, I'll go to you first. What stood out to you in this big win?
Yeah, I do think Barca have been really good fun this season, honestly. Like, I give credit to them and Hansi Flick for that. I said the stat about how many goals they've scored this season. That is the case. I've said it before that it is upsetting that we're 7 points behind Real Madrid. I don't think we're that much worse than them, but we've just dropped so many stupid points in the league. But we have blown teams away on a lot of occasions. I don't want to caveat it by saying that I thought Valencia were awful tonight. I don't know what got into them. Yeah. I actually thought they were going to put up a proper fight, by the way. They usually do. And I think they will in the Cup in a week and a half's time. I think it'll be a horrible game away for Barça. I really do, that we'll hopefully try and get through in the Cup. But I thought they were shocking tonight, like absolutely terrible. I don't know what they were trying to do, because they weren't sitting in a block, but they weren't pressing high either. So they were just sort of like a mess of everything. And the players looked uninterested, didn't track runners. I thought they were awful, but Barca were, fun, creative, ran in from behind with deep runs, loads, and it works really well with the balls in from Lamine and whatnot. And it was a really complete performance, I thought, from Barca. They were very good and good fun to watch, but God, did Valencia make it easy for them?
Yeah, I'd say so. Mo, what or who stood out to you in the Valencia match here?
Flick definitely lied to us yesterday at press conference. He said it won't be easy, but I guess. I'll say a couple of things. I think this was a very important win, because had we lost or dropped points, the La Liga would have been over. I mean, Madrid would have had a 10-point lead, and it would have been over. So it was very important to win so we can stay in the race. And it was very important to win because it's an important message for the fans. Like, we're still in this. We're not. Yes, we dropped, 19 points, 20 points, however points it was, but we're still in the race. So I think it was a very important message and very important win for the team as far as La Liga hopes. The second point I say is, I think this Barca has shown time and time again that when they play at 100%, they are the best team in Europe. They can compete against anyone. but when they play 80%, they're very vulnerable. And I think that's an important message and something important for the players to remember, that you always have to come out ready to bury your opponent. You know, you have to come out thinking I'm going to score 4, 5, 6 goals in the first half, and then I can relax. In the matches where we lost points, the team came out thinking relaxed. Oh, it's just Leganés, or it's just Las Palmas. They're small clubs. I don't have to try. I have 90 minutes. I have plenty of time, and you cannot come out like that. You have to come out every match. It doesn't matter if it's Real Madrid in a Champions League final or if it's freaking, I don't know, Getafe in Copa del Rey, right? You have to come out every match ready to bury them in the first half. And if you do that, which is what the team did today, then you can afford yourself mistakes, like Szczęsny's mistake. Had that counted, it wouldn't have mattered, right? You can afford bad refereeing calls. Had we scored 4 or 5 goals against Getafe, that penalty against Kunde, it wouldn't have mattered. And then you can, of course, you do things like rotate, rest your players, bring in players who don't have minutes. So I think that's a very important lesson for the players. Every match, you have to come out 100%. It doesn't matter who the opponent is.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's some good points there. We are kind of like, if the type of fighter that just brings in hellfire for the first 5 minutes, and if you don't land those punches, if you don't get some damage done from those initial attacks, you're kind of winded. You kind of threw your best effort at your opponent, and now you might be in a little bit of trouble. And I think, like you said, they're dropping points against Las Palmas and Leganés and some others. I think that's what happened, not getting those early chances in the back of the net, and we start to fall apart a little bit. Even in this match, it is right around the 60th minute, something like that. If we don't have the ball, you can start to see a little bit of the tired legs. Maybe, yeah, you have one guy, maybe two guy press when we lose the ball, but you're not seeing the third and the fourth and the swarming that you see in the first half a lot of times. So it really is, we get after it early, and we got to get those early chances in the back of the net. One player I do want to bring up, Fermin Lopez. I think one of his best matches. How many assists did he have today? 2, if not 3? So. 2 and a goal?
2, I think, yeah.
2 goals.
Yeah, hell of a match. I've said this before, but I'm going to bring it up again because I think it's a good conversation to have, and we've got Mo. You can get your opinion on it. When Barcelona eventually have all their midfielders fit, healthy, I'm including Bernal, can we keep everybody happy in terms of playing time? Because it's getting pretty full with how well some of these players are performing. So Mo, I'll kick it to you first since we haven't really heard your thoughts on it yet. Because I'll say this: when we speak about it previously, I always bring up the era where we had Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, and we had to watch Thiago walk out the door. I'm hoping that Barcelona can learn from that era, learn from, I'll say, that mistake, and figure out a way to keep all these midfielders and keep everybody happy. Mo, is that possible?
You can't. We have way too many midfielders.
Bubble,
and we have
pops.
So many good ones. I mean, there's no way, because I mean, the most important thing, and this is something Mourinho always talked about, which I hate to agree with him because I hate Mourinho, but he always said your first step is you have to know who's your starting 11, and from there everything else you got to figure out everything else out. So you cannot keep rotating, because if you keep rotating, right, players never get used to each other and they never build that chemistry. So you have to have your starting 11 where they're going to play most of the matches. So, and with so many midfielders, it's just impossible to have them, keep them happy. Now the question is, who would you guys start out of all these midfielders? I mean, who would be your starting 3? Because I cannot seem to answer that question, and I've been asked this question a lot, and I'm like, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like to go with Casado, Frankie, Pedri.
Oh, Jonathan.
And I say that because I like Almo and Fermin off the bench. Gavi is the one that really throws everything off for me, because when he's on at his best, he does give us something different. He does give us that spark and tenacity. Like I think he might be our most balanced midfielder. So it's so hard, but I think for me right now, if it's Real Madrid, if it's Champions League on the line, if it's any kind of match of that status, I'm going Casado, Frankie, Pedri.
Wow. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going with, Hotshot? What do you got?
I think I would keep the Castle or Pedri double pivot. You have completely convinced me on Olmo, by the way, John, because you know I'm an Olmo fan. Like for me, it would be Castle, Pedri, Olmo is a midfield three I see, but like you are right about Olmo, and that like we almost work that midfield three actually hasn't been the most successful in a weird way, and that I do agree with Olmo's impact off the bench is important, and maybe we have more balance with Pedri, Casado, and Gavi in there. Maybe.
I mean, you have to have Pedri. Pedri's been the brains of the
gotta have
operation this
Pedri.
whole
Yeah,
match.
gotta have Pedri.
Casado has been phenomenal to me. The hard part is who's the third one. Bernal,
Yeah.
Olmo. I mean, if we see the same thing with Bernal next season of what we saw the first few matches, I think I would do Bernal, Casado in a double pivot and maybe Pedri as the number 10. I would not want to see Frankie in there. As good as he can be, I'm just so tired of him. I feel the same way about Frankie as I feel about Araujo.
He's come
I want
at
him
you.
out. I want him out. I'm just tired of his shenanigans.
He's come at you.
Mo, let's pull at that a little bit.
Here we go.
Is it the performance? Is it the salary? Is it both? What is your concern / gripes with Frankie?
It's three, actually. It's performance, salary, and the disrespect to the club. Okay?
Wow.
I mean, we paid so much money to sign Frankie. We paid so much money on salary all these years, and he has been inconsistent at best. He's put out some pretty great performances, but he's also had some horrible performances. And then the disrespect of it's been a year and a half, and he doesn't even have the decency of picking up the phone and say, no, I'm not going to renew, or yes, I'm going to renew. You know, they're not even answering the phone. Like, they won't even meet with the club. So at this point, it's just like, just leave. Just leave.
Wow, over the Frankie saga. My goodness. It is going to be very interesting, I think. My confidence in Frankie being here next season has certainly waned as the season has gone on. One, because of the lack of conversation around a new contract, and two, what is spurring this whole conversation, we've just got so many good midfielders right now, and Frankie's still got value. I could see us seeing what we could get for him this year before his contract runs out. It won't be what his full market value is because of the contract situation. That's the only thing that kind of concerns me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. I'm still putting him in the lineup if it's a big match, though.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of contracts, shall we pivot to Araujo, or do we have anything else that we want to say from either match, either Benfica or Valencia?
Got a point on I suppose like Pedri. It's quite telling. I think that we were like he's nailed on for all of our midfield threes, and I think they get the Benfica game, but also the way he's been going this season. Like I know he couldn't play today because of stomach problems, but he's quickly establishing himself as one of the best midfielders in Europe. Really, Pedri isn't he? And like it's like a known fact now that he's like our guy in midfield. He's just a proper Barcelona coded player and like a top like elite midfielder. So massive fan of him, and I think he's been class this season for Barca. I really do, and I'm liking Balde at left back. I've been critical of Balde.
Thank you.
I've been critical of Balde in the final third. I keep saying if I was a coach, that I'd grab Balde every training session and get him to work in the final third, because I think once he gets that, I think the sky's the limit for Balde. I really do. I think he's got all the materials to be one of, if not the best left back in Europe. I really do. I think he's got it. I think he's got it all at his feet, Balde. I really do. Just a little bit of coaching here and there, and he's going to go far. But you can already see it. He's so superior to players. He can just knock it past them and get onto the end of a ball. You know, he's physically stronger. He's quicker. He's really good with his feet. He drives inside very well. I think he's good defensively too for a modern fullback. I just think he's got a few tweaks to make, and I think he's going to be elite.
Yeah, probably second best left back in Europe right now, I would say.
I'll say this about Balde. I think he's been.
I'm not sure you know. I'm not sure you know, Mo, who this guy is who this guy claims is the best left back in Europe right now. But...
Oh no, tell me.
Well, it's clearly Anthony Robinson for Fulham. Clearly, by a landslide. There's Anthony Robinson, a big gap, Alejandro Balde, and then everybody else. Obviously, you guys.
Where does Davis fit in there?
Yes. Oh well, sure. Big supporter of Anthony Robinson, friend of the pod. We'll get him on here eventually. Yeah, sorry, but Mo, I think I interrupted you. You were going to say something?
I think Balde has been unfairly signaled out this season because what people don't realize is he has to cover the entire left flank by himself. And I think that's why sometimes he gets exposed. Like on the right, we have Lamine and Kunde helping each other. But on the left, we don't have anyone. I mean, Rafinha's on the left, but he plays more of an interior, which leaves that entire left side of the field for Balde to cover. So he has to go all the way up and come all the way back down. And I think that's left him in precarious situations at times. And I think that's why sometimes he's unfairly signaled out. But I think Balde is phenomenal. I think he has what it takes to be the next Davis, maybe even better.
Yeah.
Davis is bigger, and I guess he has that over Balde, his physique. But I think Balde's speeds, dribbling, I mean, his tenacity. For me, he's a solid left back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I actually, Pablo, I'm glad you brought that up because I had jotted that down too to give Alejandro Balde some flowers because I think these last few games getting assists, drawing that penalty against Benfica, I think he is definitely hitting his stride. And, you know, maybe one day we'll see. He could be as good as Anthony Robinson.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was waiting for you to say it, man. I was like, maybe one day I'll reach Robinson.
Wait, can I bring something up? And I think it would be a great segue to the Araujo thing. It's
from the
Valencia
please do.
match. And I don't know if this is controversial, but I liked Eddie Garcia, Pau Cubarsí better than
you like
Pau
that
and
combo.
Araujo.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, say more. What tickles your fancy about it?
I mean, to be fair to Araujo, today Barcelona's defense was not really challenged at all. I think Flick could have taken out both center backs and we still would have been fine. Yeah. But I was watching Eddie Garcia at several moments of the match, trying to see him like how he was reading the plays, and he was way better at his timing. Like he was always in line for the offside trap, always, which is not something I can say about Araujo. And even his passing, I mean, we always know Eddie Garcia has much better passing than Araujo because he's even played as a defensive midfielder and he's done a good job. So I think those are two of Araujo's biggest weaknesses, which Eddie Garcia today, I saw him perform, much better. So I liked Eric and Cubarsí better than Eric and Araujo. So I don't know if that's controversial because I know Eddie Garcia gets a lot of hate. I don't know, maybe because he's not a flashy player, maybe because he's made mistakes in the past, but I like him. And today I liked him better at the back than Araujo. But
wow. Okay, so Mo,
into trouble.
Champions League final tomorrow. Who's your center back pairing?
With Inigo still injured?
We'll say everybody healthy.
Oh,
so
no,
Champions League final tomorrow and everybody's healthy.
No, because it's got to be with Inigo injured.
Yeah.
Why with it? Okay, let's do both. If Inigo's injured, who you go with?
Inigo Cubarsí, obviously, if he's healthy. If he's injured, God, I liked Eric better, but I would have to go with Araujo just because he's a better center back. But I would be afraid of the mistakes he might make because he's been, PSG last year.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you know what?
That's the one that sticks out. Yeah.
Honestly, I would go. I would also go Araujo just because of his name, but I'm with Mo on this one a lot. Like it was Valencia, that is the thing, and I think there will be a time and a place for both of them. And I think this game is much better for Eric and Cubarsí. Which goal was? I think it was Rafinha's goal, the third goal. I think it was Eric with the ball with the line splitting pass into Fermin. That we wouldn't ever get that from Araujo, And this sort of game, what we saw from Eric was much better. And I agree the way he keeps the line and stuff, but there will also be other moments we've seen in the past of Barca where, Eric and Araujo are incomparable, like the league winning season, for example. Araujo being levels above, but I'm just not sold on Araujo just yet. I think he needs to build up his fitness still and get accustomed to Flick's system maybe, but they've got very different characteristics.
That's where my head is at, is none of our other center backs can touch Araujo's physical features.
Yeah.
His pace, his physical presence, the way that he can dominate the ball in the air. Yeah. I think that's where he gets his edge. The ground that he can cover is unmatched, I think. But other players, and this is where you see sometimes, these crafty veterans that can play center back well into their mid and late 30s. Sometimes it's not the physicality. Sometimes it is how well you can read the game and implement the strategy that you need to implement. And in Hansi Flick's system, how well you can pass with the ball at your feet. So and then this is why this will get into the contract talk. I think the center back pairing will be Kubarsi and Martinez, or Kubarsi and Garcia, unless we are facing a pacey forward. If we're going up against someone that can beat us on the counterattack, where yes, we're going to rely on the offside trap, but if they get in behind, we might be in trouble. That's where I think you'll see Araujo get his playing time. And that's why I think that buyout clause exists, because I don't think Araujo is happy with that rotational role where he's only going to be starting if the opponent has a certain characteristics in their attack.
I can agree with that. I think the problem with Araujo is he's more reactive than proactive. He's really good at chasing down his opponent, catching up, getting the ball. He does that excellent. But then you look at Kubarsi and Inigo, they read the game, they anticipate the pass in a cut the pass where they don't have to chase down their opponent because they read the play before it even happened. Or Araujo waits for it to happen and then reacts. And don't get me wrong, he's great at reacting, but you need anticipation. If the offside trap is going to work, and you need anticipation, because that's the whole point of the offside trap, right? Is that you don't have to chase your opponent.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Assessment. That was a really good point.
Yeah. So Pablo, this 65 million euro buyout for Araujo, are we about to see Dembele 2.0? For those of you that haven't been paying attention, of course, he signed a contract extension, but had a 50 million euro buyout clause that was good for the summer, well under his transfer value, and of course gets snatched up by PSG. Good riddance in that case. Are we going to see Dembele 2.0 this summer with Araujo? I'm putting you on the spot, Pablo.
I got to be careful with what I say, as you know. But like, we know there's a new thing that the club are doing where they're not announcing the release clauses in the official statements anymore to the public. I'm sure that if clubs need to access that information, they can, though. I'm guessing in a transfer negotiation, of course. But that's an interesting take that they've done now, maybe to avoid the drama with what would have happened if this got announced publicly. Yeah, it's a little bit worrying. It's a little bit worrying. I think the whole situation is a bit odd with Araujo. He was clearly delaying. I think his priority was always to stay at Barça, but he was clearly open. I think he didn't like the reaction after the PSG game, the way the fans and maybe the dressing room turned on him a little bit. He wasn't really willing to take much responsibility for that. And clearly he has been looking at other options, at least with one ear open, just to be like, anyone calling? Like, what would the offer be? I think that's fair to say. Look, at the end of the day, to be fair, he has decided to stick with Barca. They've clearly convinced him. Seems like it's like a big, long contract, 2031, big salary, I'm guessing, one of the club captains. I'm guessing they've sold it all in that way. And in that regard, you then expect him to be like, yeah, I'm here for the long run now. So when you hear about a 65 million release clause in the summer, you do think, like, what's happened there then? Like, you don't really want your captain accepting a long-term deal and then his agent's going, no, but we want to make sure there's a way out in the summer if need be. You don't really want that, if that is true, that report. So I'm not fully convinced where Araujo's head, completely is at, but yeah, that would be my take on the situation.
Very diplomatic of you, Pablo. Well said, sir. Mo, what do you think? One, do you have concerns with the details of the contract, and how are you feeling about this renewal in general?
I think he's leaving. I mean, you keep a release clause that low is because you want to way out, and if you want to way out, is that you're not 100% sure about staying. And I've always been of the mind, if a player is not 100% sure, there's the door. We don't need those kind of players. There's a million other players that would love to play for Barca. If you're not sure about it, then you can leave. I think what this extension was, I think this was a great strategy by Deco, except for the release clause. I thought it should have been higher. But I think it was a good play by Deco because, A, you're amortizing the player more. So that helps your financial fair play, right? Because now you're amortizing until 2031 instead of 2026. B, you're solving Flick's temporary problem, which is Inigo just got injured. Christensen is not 100% back from form. So it's like, all right, let's keep this guy until the summer. And then by then, Christensen and Inigo are ready. And we sell them in the summer. And then we help our financial fair play while we at it, too. which would help with the Marcus Rashford situation, right? So I think it was a good play by Deco, but I do think he made a mistake with the release clause. I think it should have been 80 or 75. 65 is a little bit low, but I think Araujo will leave. Especially today, I remember when I saw the lineup, the first thing I did, I texted my friends. I was like, ooh, Araujo's definitely leaving after this one. I mean, if he's putting Eric ahead of him, he's not going to be happy about that. He wants a team where he's going to start every single match of every competition, and he's not going to get that at Barca.
Yeah. Yeah, I also have been leaning towards he's going to see how the rest of this season plays out, and if he hasn't earned or been guaranteed that starting spot, I think he's going to take offers this summer, because from what reports are saying, it's 65 million euros for this summer, and then it jumps up to 80 million in 2026. So it's really just this transfer window that it's low.
But
So
even that is odd, though, isn't it? It's not like
it's very odd, yeah.
Like even that is odd. It's like, okay, if I don't go this summer, then we've still got like the hope that in 2026 someone pays 80. It's like, why do you need these constant like low release clauses and way outs? You know, if you want to be a Barca captain and centre back and renew for however many years, like why do you need like a little way out every summer?
Yeah, I fully agree. I would feel a little bit better if like this summer was 80 and next summer was 100. I'd be like, that's reasonable, you know. But even with that, I don't, you know, can we get back to the 1 billion euro buyouts like we had with Pedri and some others? That makes me feel comfortable. I'm still a little scarred from the whole Neymar fiasco, even though it's been, I don't know, almost 10 years now. Can you believe that?
Never forget.
Can you believe that?
Don't. Please don't.
I mean, I think it was a blessing in disguise.
Ooh, in what way?
Left.
Wow.
Say more. That's a different take, Mo. Say more on that.
I mean, look what happened after he left. It was downhill from there. He started focusing more on being a celebrity and building his brand than being a footballer. And I don't know.
But it was downhill for us as well, though. No,
right. But it was downhill for us for several reasons. It wasn't just because Neymar left. Our squad was aging. We had a horrible president. It blew our money.
Yeah. So Mo, you're thinking Barcelona's struggles, that's more coincidental with Neymar leaving, and really Barca kind of dodged a bullet, so to speak, by not keeping Neymar around in terms of what we would have had to pay him and invest in him. And then if that's what you're saying, I don't really disagree with that. I mean, like I consider Neymar's career a failure. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think it's a failure. So had he had the exact same career that he had at PSG, but he had it at Barcelona, yeah, I think that would have been years of frustration.
Well, the thing is, I think maybe we could have done better a little bit, one more season, maybe two, but after that, our squad would have kept aging, and Messi would have gotten older, and Piqué and Busquets, and our squad could have kept aging, and our president could have kept doing dumb things like signing Malcolm and Braithwaite and all these random signings that you're like, what the hell was he thinking? And then at that point, our team would have kept underperforming because of the same moves. And then Neymar would have said, okay, well, this is not working, so I'm just going to do the same thing as he did at PSG. Let me just party. Let me just build my brand. Let me just be a celebrity, date models. And eventually he would have done the same thing at Barca that he did at PSG. Maybe he would have gave us an extra season of glory, maybe two. But it would have been the same story. And he would have ended up in Saudi, overweight and injured.
Living it up.
Yeah.
I like this. Mo, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate that. I really do.
I don't know what it is with Brazilian players, man, for the exception of Rafinha, God bless him.
Yeah.
They just get to a certain point where they're just like, fuck it.
They love it.
Just start partying, they love it. Have fun.
Yeah, get to their prime, sign one more contract, and then it's nail in the coffin, basically. It's time to go party in the clubs. Yeah.
Which I'm like, dude, you're only going to play until you're 32, 34. You can party for the rest of your life after that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so we'll see. I think we're all kind of in agreement on this Araujo contract. It's a bit worrying, and certainly not what you want to see from a captain. I think you want to see a little bit more of a commitment there. So we'll see what happens with that one. But last thing for us to discuss here, there are some rumblings of Marcus Rashford trying to make his way over to Barcelona. Pablo's laughing at this one already.
So I just never heard you use rumblings.
Yeah, yeah, it's a phrase. It's a thing. It
God,
happens.
Rashford is that a friend of the pod, John? That's someone I've been a bit.
Of course. Yeah, friend of the pod. We're in negotiations to try to get him on. He's a busy guy, but friend of the pod. He'll get some time for us eventually. But would you like to see him at Barcelona? And what are the chances of him actually coming in January? Mo, I'm going to go to you first.
Rashford could be could either be another Joao Felix or it could be an Alba Mayang. You could either go each way because Rashford at his top form, he's one of the most lethal attackers in Europe. But the problem is he's inconsistent. He likes extracurricular activities. Let's put it that way. So I don't know. I mean, he's dying to come, so maybe he'll be focused those 6 months. Would I sign him on a permanent transfer? Absolutely not. On loan, I'm open to it. Now, the possibility of him coming, I mean, they're talking about Unai Hernandez going to Saudi. If that happens, Rashford might make the move. We might free up enough space because Ansu's not leaving and Eric staying. So there's a good chance of him coming, but I'm worried about what could that look like. As long as he doesn't disrupt the locker room. If he comes and fails, that's fine. Sit on the bench until the end of the season. But as long as he doesn't cause chaos, which there's some reports starting to come out saying that maybe the Joao's fractured the locker room a little bit because, I mean, that's what they're known for. They just cause drama wherever they go, which is unfortunate because the two of them had the talent and skills to, become the best. But, football is not just about skills, as we're seeing.
Fair. I still would have liked to see what João Cancelo could do in a Hansi Flick system, but his performances in El Clasico and against PSG at the end of last year was like, oh, no, I don't care how good you are in other matches, you can't be that bad and play for Barcelona. So yeah. Anyway, side note, Pablo, what do you think? Is there any weight to these rumors, these rumblings?
I really wonder, right? Like, I think it's definitely like a true story. I just think, like what Mo said, I think I'm almost certain, in fact, if Barca don't let go of someone, then they physically can't get. And I don't know if Unai going to Saudi Arabia would free up enough room. I don't, I think it would have to be an Ansu Fati or an Eric Garcia salary being like led up there, and then Rashford on the last day of the window, deadline day, accepting a low cut salary like Alba did in 2020, end of 2021, start of 2022. So I honestly see it as though it could be an Alba sort of situation. I do. I think, quick, pacey attacker, probably could cause a bit of havoc in La Liga. Great bench option for Barca for sure. I think he could come into the lineup a few games too. We are lacking options off the bench. We've said that time and time again, though, John. A left winger too as well. He could start off the left in a lot of games. Like, I'm actually not a very big fan of Rashford, to be honest. I think I've said that before, like maybe in the old engine room days as well. I don't like his attitude. He got so many props in the UK for obviously like the free school meal stuff, and he was like painted as like the darling child of the nation. I'm not sure about his attitude actually, like full stop, to be fair. And I think those sorts of reports have come out now, and and he's clearly being put out of favour at Man U for whatever reason, and with the way they're playing, it can't be just footballing reasons because they could do with any help they can get, So I think the good thing is that he'd come into Barcelona not speaking the language with anyone. Obviously, a few like De Jong and Christensen and whatnot can speak to him in English and whatever. But the large majority of the dressing room speaks in Spanish or Catalan. So I don't think he'd be in the corner focusing on his football a bit like Aubameyang was. Hopefully scoring goals, trying to get back to his best and providing for the team. So I actually think in that regard it could work as a 6-month loan. I really do. I think it could give the team something new. These sorts of things are right. I had the same doubts about Aubameyang's attitude, and he turned out to be class, like professionally as well, like really focused, and all of that sort of like attitude talk seemed to be nonsense, and it could be the exact same thing with Rashford. So I'm actually up for it, despite not being his biggest fan.
Yeah, it's very interesting for me. I don't see him as an immediate fit. If you were offering me Rashford in the summer before we saw this prime Rafinha unlocked, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that gives us some options, I think, on that left wing. I would bring him in if all it costs us is moving a Garcia or an Ansu, and he comes in at a low salary and it's for a 6-month loan. I would take that gamble because I think our locker room is strong enough that if he is any sort of clash, if he does cause any kind of conflict, our guys are going to push him out right away and he'll just be a ghost on the bench. If he's going to come in and perform well and have the right attitude and get some goals for us, he can be embraced. And I think it can be perhaps, a steal for Barcelona. Maybe it's something that kind of puts us over the edge in terms of the depth that we need in the attack there. As long as the numbers are right in terms of salary, I think it's a pretty low risk move for Barcelona. And he's 27. He's in his prime. I think he just could use a new opportunity, a new setting, and we'll see what happens. But I would go for it for the loan at least. I would jump on it, like I said, because I think it's low risk, high reward if it pays off.
Yeah,
I agree. Completely agree.
Okay, so prediction then. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we going to get Rashford in January?
Oh.
Not do we want him, but are we going to get him? What do we think?
Do a 45-degree thumb up. Wait, you can't see it. There you go.
Slightly optimistic from Mo.
Slightly optimistic.
Pablo, yes or no?
I don't think we are going to get him now.
My gut tells me we're not going to get him, but I want to be optimistic.
I wonder what he does, to be fair, eh? Honestly, I really do. I think, is it Napoli are the other interested team? I know Napoli and Chelsea are fighting for Garnacho, aren't they? But
Dortmund want Rashford.
Okay.
Milan wanted him, and then they backed away.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very curious. Like I said, 27 years old. At his best, it's, I think, very similar to what Rafinha gives you.
It's very lethal at his best, except with some dribbling, which Rafinha's not too strong on.
Sure. We'll see. I'd like to get him. I'll say that. I'd like to get him.
Yeah, why not? I'd agree. Get him in.
It's one of those
Get him in.
If you get, you're happy, but if you don't, you're like, meh, whatever.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right. Anything else we should discuss? There's a lot of Barcelona football coming up, so make sure everybody's tuned in and along for the ride.
Yeah,
like I said,
we haven't even spoken about Atalanta, I suppose,
no. Should we get a quick prediction for Atalanta? Let's do that at least, and then we'll close it out. We got Atalanta coming up in Champions League Wednesday. That closes out our Champions League group fixtures. Still a chance for Barca to go top, but Liverpool is playing. Who do they have? Oh, PSV, who I think need a win, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, Liverpool
I'm looking at the table here.
To win to make it on top.
Yeah, PSV are in 19th with 11 points, and they could get caught by a Man City or a Dynamo Zagreb. So PSV are going to be coming out hungry. Who knows what Liverpool are going to do?
Right. I mean, who knows what Flick's going to do? Is he going to go all out, or is he going to be careful and do a lineup like today?
Yeah. Because am I right? I think it looks like, are we guaranteed top 8?
Yeah.
I think we are, right? Yeah.
We are.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this. Atalanta's sitting in 7th. I would probably rest players. We're guaranteed top 8. I would probably rest players with all the fixtures that we got coming up. I would go B squad for this. And I'm going to go...
But we'll lose then, eh?
Nah.
I mean, there's money on the line. 2.1 million if we win the match, plus there's a bonus for finishing on top.
I feel like maybe he should rest, because I think if we finish 5th or 6th or 3rd or 2nd, the only good thing about finishing 2nd would mean that we then wouldn't be able to face Liverpool until the final.
I do like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that.
I'm scared of Liverpool this season.
Yeah.
They look deadly.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if we do have some rotation or a lot of rotation, I just feel like we're a league above Atalanta. I'm gonna go 3-1 Barca. Easy peasy win.
Ooh. 5-2 was that?
Did you say 5-2? Wow. Okay.
This Flick's team says top, man. 101 goals so far.
Mad.
Yeah.
I'm also going 3-1, John. I had that in my mind for a bit. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to stick with it. I mean, I'm very intrigued to see the lineup he picks. I think he's going to go quite strong, actually.
Okay. We'll see what happens. Very exciting time for Barcelona. I'm glad we are seemingly hitting our stride right now. So we'll see what happens coming up here. Mo, one more time, where can the people find you for the rest of the season?
On YouTube, Barca News. Also have an Instagram account and a Twitter account, but mostly YouTube.
Nice. All right. Well, find him on YouTube, Barca News. We'll, of course, have you back on again, Mo. It was a pleasure having you on for the first time. Welcome to the Más que Un podcast family.
Thank you.
You are now officially a friend of the pod, joining a very fine class. So we'll get you on again in the future. And again, all the listeners, let us know your thoughts, your opinions. Give us your questions, your comments, your concerns down in the comments. We want to get your thoughts, keep the conversation going. And we will be back again next week. I think we'll have a Three Kings pod next week, if I'm not mistaken. Pablo, you around in studio?
We'll
see.
I'll be back. Yeah.
The always elusive Three Kings podcast. We'll be back regardless next week and every Monday. Mes que un podcast. We'll see you then, folks. Thanks for listening.